Isaac Singer first brought us domestic sewing machines over 160 years ago, and still to this day they have the highest standard of excellence and the biggest reputation in sewing machines around the world. And I think I'm right in saying they're one of the top 5 most well-known brands worldwide. You think of sewing machines, you think of Singer. The Singer tradition that we're bringing you today is a mechanical machine. So if you're a little bit fearful of computerized machines and screens and LCD displays, there's none of it with this machine. There's no fuss. It's simple and easy to use. I like the look of the machine as well. I like its retro kind of feeling with its curves and its traditional S for Singer in the middle of the dial. But this machine is more than just about good looks. It brings you 23 stitches, including many decorative stitches and a one-step buttonhole stitch. You're getting the foot included to enable you to do that as well. So let's take a look this time at some of the decorative stitches on this machine. Now the stitches are on a very easy to use dial right in front of you here, and the stitch you'll use most of all is your straight stitch. We have a straight stitch for woven fabric, and next door is your straight stitch for stretch fabric. The same goes with your zigzag, and you can hear that reassuring clunk as the stitches fall into place. Then we have your a zigzag with little stitches in between to hold things in place like elastics, and a smocking stitch, which is a decorative stitch. Blind hemming stitches, overcasting stitches, more blind hemming stitches, and then you've got some beautiful decorative stitches. So maybe you're on your path towards patchwork and quilting, and you want to use these stitches over the top of your seams, then you'll get a really lovely look to your work. We've got cross stitches, stitches to do cording with, scalloped edges which you can cut away the edge, so you've got a pretty picot edging, and more decorative stitches as we go around. We've got mending stitches, and we have more mock overcasting stitches. And as we come here, that's a one-step buttonhole stitch, and the buttonhole foot that's included is one of those that measures the size of your button, so every single buttonhole is going to be uniform in size. The stitch length is just above here, so you can turn this all the way around from very, very narrow, which of course you're going to use with your buttonholes, all the way up to 4 millimeters in length. And as we come across to the top of the machine, there's your stitch width dial and a tension dial. All the markings on the machine will show you where to put your thread if you're loading up your bobbin, or indeed if you're threading your machine, which for the first time or for new users is a very useful thing. So there's an accessory compartment on the front. It's a front loading bobbin. I'll just show you inside here. But as you see inside, this is all metal casing, so you know that this Singer is built to last. When you take the accessory compartment off, this is where you'll find your spare feet, and it also gives you a free arm facility. So I'll just slide this back on. The feet that we're including is your foot to sew on buttons. We have your zipper foot. We've got a darning plate, so you can put this over the feed teeth if you want to do some freehand embroidery or sewing a button on even. And then this is a guide which will help you sew straight. It's a seam guide. Now some of the decorative stitches that I've used are like on this mat. Now this could be a mat for your table, for diners, or it could be a mat to sit your sewing machine onto to help it stop moving around on your table. And I've just used one of the wavy stitches, which is really kind of a mending stitch, stretched out so it's at its longest, and also sewn through layers of fabric. There's wadding in between here, and even putting bias binding around to give you a nice finishing touch. But if you are doing any kind of quilting or decorating, this could be just for children's clothes maybe. The decorative stitches are absolutely beautiful. So put your fabric under your foot and put the foot down. There's a lever at the back of the machine. Choose your stitch, and I think we'll go for the cross stitch. So I need the stitch that's on the right hand side, which is the blue one. So if you think, oh, just a minute, there's a black and there's a blue, and they're both on lined up to the dot, which one do I choose? If you turn the dial on the length of the stitch to S1, that will select the blue stitch on the right hand side. So I've got my width set, I've got my length set. That can be adjusted, the stitch width, if you want to. I put my foot on the foot pedal, and let's take a look at the stitches developing. Now notice it's a very quiet machine. What I'm noticing, even being so close to the machine on the table, it's not shaking the whole of the table, and that's the build quality of what goes on inside the machine. And you can see how pretty those stitches are. Now imagine this around the collar or a cuff on a blouse, around the hemline on a skirt, and certainly for patchwork. You can have so much fun with these stitches. I'm just going to move the dials around again and try one of the satin stitches. Now I need to alter the stitch length on this one. I'm going to go onto the buttonhole selection. I'll show you why in just a second. And I can go even narrower than that. This is where it's time to play, so that you get the perfect stitch that you want. It's almost like having a bespoke stitch. You can make them very, very long, you can distort them, you can make them very, very small. And this is where I would recommend you try on a scrap of fabric first of all, just to make sure you're happy with the way that the stitch is looking. I'm happy with the way that that stitch is looking. If I just turn this around and show you, I had it very wide, then I came a little bit narrower, but that was the size of the stitch that I wanted. So now I've had a play, then I can transfer this onto my patchwork, onto my napkins, onto my tablecloth, or even onto my dress. For a beginner, an absolutely perfect machine because it's sturdy, it's reliable, and it's very, very easy to use. If as a beginner you're looking at maybe a little bit of soft furnishing, cushion covers, maybe decorating your bed linen, or even a Christmas tablecloth and napkins, you've got a machine that will help you get the perfect results. But if you're upgrading from a more basic machine, you've got a machine here that'll take you all the way through to dressmaking and curtain making, because you've got the right stitches, and with Singer, you've got the right quality.